it's the voice of the one and only DJ Scream, letting you know that you are now in tune to the Casual Flex, where culture meets sports and casuals are welcome. Now here's your host, Phillip Dukes.
Yo, welcome to the Casual Flex. I'm your host, Phillip Dukes, aka Dukes D Scoop. Catch me on Twitter and Instagram at Dukes D Scoop. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button right here on YouTube. Right here, see right down there. Make sure you hit that button for me so we can grow together. And before I take anything else into consideration, let me make sure you guys understand who this episode, and we got some stuff to talk about today. But this episode is brought to you by Drip Waves LLC. See, I got the fresh hat on. I got this hat in probably about 10 or 11 colors. Definitely one of the dopest urban clothing brands, and not even just urban, just a concept clothing brand based out of Atlanta, Georgia, founded by one of my guys, Eron and Dunn. They do everything. They design. They manufacture in-house Black-owned business. They also outsource manufacturing. They do any type of clothes that you need, marketing campaign, digital graphics, you name it, they got it. So make sure you go check out dripwavesllc.com. If you can just Google it, drip-waves, it's gonna pop right up. Boom, you'll see it. The website is so dope. And plus, right now, if you go subscribe to their email, you get 10% off. And I'm telling you, they got some of the freshest gear for the fall this year. Oh, you're gonna see it all over here. So, man, shout out to dripwavesllc.com. All right, let's get into it. Cadillac, Auburn. So we just saw the Cadillac Williams show. And I must say, am I the only person that watched that game and felt like Auburn looked completely different than they have looked all season? And what do you mean by that, dudes? Even in a loss, that was probably the most entertaining Auburn game that I've seen all year. The energy. And I think anybody who watched that game, even when Auburn went down like 18 points or 21, something like that, whatever it was when they went down, you had that feeling that Auburn was never out of the game. Even when Mississippi State was running up and down the field, you just had that feeling that, you know what, somebody's going to make a play. Something's going to happen. And I think that energy was a direct result of Cadillac Williams being the head coach. There were some things that I saw that I haven't seen all year, and it just kind of goes to show you, like, with the previous regime versus what some fresh energy can do. No new players. Zero new players. We saw guys that we haven't seen play as much. Even some of the rotational pieces that you saw in the game this week, you know, you may not have seen before, and that may be due to some guys who, you know, may be entering the transfer portal, but just to see how that team came together, how they fought together, how they fought for Coach Cadillac, Coach Lack, how they fought for him. It was really good to see, and to see his energy out there, man. Lack, look, first of all, Lack looked like he wanted to grab them shoulder pads himself and go out there. The funniest thing to me is, I wouldn't care if it was 4th and 19. Lack was looking like, should we go for it? Like, every time it was a thought across his mind of going for it on 4th. And I love it. You know why? What do you have to lose? You're playing with house money. We knew what this team was. We've seen the roster already. So with Lack being able to say, you know what, go for it. Go for it. Go for it. Because eventually you're going to get one, right? And 2, trying to create a spark on the road in Starkville. The Cowbells are going. And, you know, you got to think, the man got the job on Monday and had to get these boys ready to play by Saturday in the game where they were under 14-point underdogs. 2 touchdown underdogs against Mississippi State. I think it ended up at 12.5. And just to see how that Auburn energy, the passion that he coached with. And I think the most telling portion of the whole game that I saw, and what made me kind of be like, damn, dog. Hey, Lack, all right. I like Lack in this role, and I can't say how long he should be in the role. I can't say if he's going to be a candidate. I think he should be. I think he should at least get an interview. But at the end of the day, even if just for the strength of him taking this job on short notice and getting these boys ready to play, I think he should at least get an interview. But what I saw that made me say, dang, number 76, Jeremiah Wright, gets a really, really costly penalty, right? I think it moved Auburn out of field goal range or whatever, and it was a personal foul, unnecessary roughness, where he's blocking the whistle blows. He doesn't hear the whistle, and he finishes a guy off. Oh, he gets up, yeah, oh yeah, and everybody's looking around like, bro, you can't do that. You can't do that, bro. So but what he did was he finished off a block, and it was something that you haven't seen from Auburn's offensive line. It's one of those things where you want the aggression. You want somebody to be excited for finishing somebody off, especially along the offensive line, which has been like, I mean, the much maligned offensive line. I mean, basically, if you go on Twitter, all you see is how bad the offensive line is. And the offensive line hasn't been great. So to see that type of play, that type of aggression, is one of those things where you want to see the guy in the moment, but you also want him to understand the gravity of the moment. Like, hey, you can't do that right now. So the guy comes off the field, 76 comes off the field. You know what? I see Lack. Me knowing Lack, he's thinking, dang, I need him to keep that aggression, but I just need him to harness that aggression. In that moment, he knew what that kid needed. So at any other program, this is really moment specific, and this is why sometimes what goes into coaching is so much more to X's and O's. So he could have went off on a kid, right? Like you might see a Nick Saban, or you might see like a Kirby Smart or somebody like that. Like could have went off on him right then. In those programs at this time, that probably would have been the right thing to do. You got to snatch them off because you probably got another guy, another 5-star that's waiting to go in, and you can't make those type of mistakes. So yeah, he probably would have cursed. He would have been cursed out. But at Auburn, he's probably the best thing you had on the offensive line. He's probably the best offensive lineman, and nobody was expecting that out of him. So he, once he makes that play, Lack gets him, and he hugs him and says, "Hey man, hey, you can't do that, but I love it. You can't do that, son, but you got to keep that aggression. But you can't do it right there." And you can see him, and you can see the player, right, like pointing to his ear, like I didn't hear the whistle. So in that moment, Lack knew there's an old saying in the South. Sometimes you get more with sugar, you get more flies with sugar than you do shh, if you know what I mean, right? Lack picked his battle at the time and understood what was needed because he had to keep that guy engaged in order for Auburn to have a chance to win. And if you notice, they ran off his backside a whole lot. 76 has probably been, over the past 3 to 4 weeks, he's probably been the best offensive lineman Auburn has had. So that, case in point, in that moment, that's one of those things that made me say, dang, that's the part of the Auburn culture that has been missing, in my opinion, which has been that, kind of like knowing how to get the most out of your players. All players are not created equal. There are going to be some guys you're going to have to love up on. There's going to be some guys that you're going to have to bite on. But at the end of the day, knowing when to do what is a skill that I think that the right head coach for Auburn will have to have. You cannot be, and it's one of those things that you have to know how to do without being considered as playing favorites. So you don't want a guy that only has one speed. He's only got the fastball. And so every time that there's somebody that needs to be disciplined. Every time that there's somebody who makes a bad play, every time there's somebody who might have missed a class, they're all treated 1,000% the same. Because all players aren't the same and everybody will not respond to the same thing. Now, what I will say that punishments need to be fair across the board. But there's a way to deal with each individual player on your roster. And to have the pulse of that roster, for the head coach to have the pulse and know what buttons to push, what strings to pull, when to bite, when to hug, when to yell, when to love. I think that is an underrated skill in coaching today. And I think whoever Auburn hires, they have to have it. One thing about it, Cadillac has it already. And so let's say Cadillac does get an interview, blows it out of the water. How crazy would that be for Lack to be the permanent head coach of Auburn University? What would that say about Auburn as far as how progressive Auburn has been to the point where they can hire a black head coach? I think that would be so crazy. And then, a lot of times, like, and not to get too political here, but, a lot of times we mention skin color when it comes to coaching jobs as far as making history. And in some instances, like I saw Jason Whitlock say something about Dusty Baker. Meant that he's only the third black World Series manager or something like that. Maybe third, maybe fourth. I know Cito Gaston got one for sure. But his point was, at what point is it history, and at what point is it just kind of being like, all right, look, hey, we've seen this already before. When are we going to stop mentioning skin color when it comes to accomplishments and achievements? I absolutely think that this is an achievement for Auburn because it's something that's never happened. And then there's going to be a time where you don't have to mention it, but I do think it deserves to be mentioned at this point because it's a hell of an achievement. And it's a big time in Auburn to kind of lets you know where Auburn is headed to being more progressive than it has been in the past. And I love it for Auburn. I love seeing the Auburn family band together and make it about orange and blue. And but you can make it about orange and blue and also acknowledge the history, also acknowledge how big a moment is. And I think I think that's 1,000% awesome. So Auburn has Texas A&M this weekend, and I think that Auburn spanks them. I think Auburn wins. I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I think that Jordan Hare will be rocking on Saturday. Night game. Jordan Hare will be rocking. You hear me? Hold on, let me turn my hat on backwards. I just need y'all to see this. Jordan Hare will be off the chain on Saturday night. There will be so many alumni. You're gonna see more former ball players than you've ever seen. Everybody in Auburn will be lit for this Texas A&M game, and I mean to tell you, this will probably be the biggest recruiting weekend of the season. If Auburn can pull off a victory here, you're going to see some guys consider Auburn even in the interim right now. There's some buzz about who the coach may be. And I'm starting to hear in these recruiting circles like, man, you know what, man, like even after this game, you could just kind of see the wheels turning like, man, Auburn might not be such a bad place. Man, that Auburn looks a little bit different now. Like, Lack gave Auburn a shot of juice that it absolutely needed. And I know for a fact, my family was glued to that TV on Saturday night. On Saturday night, watching that game, that probably was the most entertaining game of the year, even in the loss. And to be able, and I talked to multiple players, like to be able to wholeheartedly root for Auburn. See, they're like, even with the Harsin era, it was so much of knowing that Harsin was a bad fit that it was hard to root for wins knowing the inevitable was coming. So it's like you want them to win, but you know what needs to happen. It was a weird spot to be in, and it had the fan base divided. I haven't seen Auburn's fan base be so unified, it would have had to be probably like 2019. And the SEC, not even just the SEC, college football is better when Auburn matters. College football is better when Auburn matters. And for the past 2 years, Auburn hasn't even been a thought. Really, the past 3 years, and really, Auburn hasn't went deep into the season, even to scratch the surface of a playoff discussion or SEC championship, probably since Derek Brown's senior year, where go down 21, I think 3 touchdowns to UGA, and Bo Nix rolls out, throws the pass to Harold Joyner. They miss it and lose the game. But that's the last time Auburn was really nationally relevant when it came late in the season. So it's a welcome. It's so welcome right now. And man, shout out and salute to Coach Lack, man. You know, one of my personal partners and a guy that I want to see win. I hope he gets an interview. I think he deserves an interview, and I think that if he doesn't get one, it's still fine. But I think he's got to have a position on whoever the hire is. That he's got to have a position on that staff, 1,000%. There's no way if he's not the guy, I don't see how you don't retain Cadillac Williams. I think it'll be some smoke in the city. If you thought it was bad when Harsin didn't keep T. Will and folks was upset, man, let somebody not keep Cadillac Williams. I believe Cadillac Williams just became the Joe Witt, the new Joe Witt. Like, he's just a guy, he's gonna be there regardless. You got to keep Cadillac. And I think eventually, like, even if he doesn't get it this go round, he's a guy that you think could lead Auburn in the future. So, man, shout out to Lack, man. Huge moment. All right, let's talk about these Falcons. Man. We're going to talk about fumbling the bag. Literally. All right, so the Falcons played the Chargers today, and then it happened. And I haven't seen it as much, but they see, as an Atlanta Falcons fan, there's something that happens, and it's called the falconing. Dukes, what's the falconing? The falconing is when something seems to be going the way of the Falcons, right? And it's a good vibe, and we about to win. And in Atlanta, we love to celebrate. And hey, we love to party. So at the end of the day, when the Falcons are doing well, oh yeah, it's you get this rush of emotion. You get this like a dopamine shot to your internal happiness meter. Like it's something that's very, very intoxicating when the Falcons are doing good. And, it don't even matter if we having a losing season, man. Folks love to party with the Falcons. And then the falconing happens. That's when all of those, that good vibe and that positive energy is just sapped away from you, like falconing. It's like I can almost feel it when it comes in, like falconing incoming. And the next thing you know, man, the Falcons done did some crazy mess. Happened again today. 17-17 game against the Chargers. And mind you, the Chargers are a very, very popular Super Bowl pick. Coming into the season, a lot of people thought the Chargers were probably the favorite for the Super Bowl. They had a really good roster. They great quarterback. They've been having some injuries on the perimeter. They got Khalil Mack, Bosa, probably my favorite defensive weapon in the game right now in Derwin James. And had them on the rope, 17-17. The Falcons, basically, probably the best kicker in the league to me, Young Wei Koo, my little young ho Koo. Koo. He misses the field goal, which he hardly ever does. And then I said, that's the start of the falconing. Here goes the falconing. But I knew that wasn't the end. Then here go the falconing right here. Because the Falcon gonna falcon. And when the Falcons falcon, nobody falcons harder than the Falcons. I mean, so here comes the Falcons. The falconing. All right, so it's third and something. The Chargers are going to have to kick the field goal, right? But the Falcons would have got the ball back with some time in order to, score it themselves. All right, on third down, Austin Eckler fumbles the ball. The Chargers running back fumbles the ball. The Falcons recover. It's only like 30-something seconds left. Boom, Falcons recover. The guy scoops the ball, running down the field. Falconing drops the ball. Yep, just like they just dropped it. Bloop, Falconing. It's like nothing happened. He was just running with the ball. You know what happened? The falconing happening. Drops the ball. Chargers recover. Now that you had a change of possessions, now the Chargers get a whole new set of downs. First play, 29, 28, 20-yard pass, game time, done deal. Falcons lose. And it's just another classic case of falconing. And, like I said, man, they got to make it right with Mount Vernon. I've been doing my part. I feel like I done gave the Falcons some favor. And when I'm speaking on Mount Vernon, I'm talking about the Falcons, one of the churches that they bought out where the guy, with a Reverend Baker. Shout out to my boy E. He put me on game. Reverend Baker from Mount Vernon said that he would never sell that church, and they'll see the face of God before he sells it. He passed away. They sold the church anyway, and the Falcons been having bad luck. So that ain't luck. Y'all better let them, and I'm gonna keep saying it. Make it right with Mount Vernon. Like it's like, bro. If you saw this play, the dude scooped the ball, was just running with the ball, like nobody was around him. He saw the quarterback and dropped the ball. He saw the quarterback like he was about to tackle him, like he thought he was going to get hit by Ray Lewis or something. Like he just dropped the ball, like, hey, falconing, 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 and that was that. But yeah, man, the Falcons still in first place. At least tied for first place. I think Tampa Bay won, so the Falcons still should be hovering around first place. So, I mean, the Falcons will be all right. I still think they're a playoff team. Like, nobody in the division looks good. But Carolina, sorry. Carolina got, like, blown out today. They gave Joe the Joe Mixon show. Shout out to Joe Mixon, man. Like, a lot of people's had him on drafted him pretty highly in fantasy, and they haven't been seeing a return on him. And Joe Mixon goes off for 50 fantasy points in standard. I don't know how many he had in PPR, but he had to have at least 50, 60 or whatever. But yeah, shout out to Joe Mixon. Had a hell of a day today. Also, man, what's going on in the NFL where the games be so sorry this year? Man, college football has been way more entertaining than the NFL this year. Hopefully, in the second half of the season, we're making it out of the first half. Hopefully, in the second half of the season, you'll see some more entertaining games. You'll see some guys return to health that sat out the first part of the year. But yeah, man, college football has been way more entertaining. And a lot of people seem to think that anyway. Like college football is just a funner game. It's a better watch, and it's just not knowing what teams, but when you get a good Saturday of college football, like Saturday was a really good Alabama LSU game, classic. LSU, Brian Kelly, they made fun of him. They was joking on Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly out here dancing with recruits. Brian Kelly don't know how to talk in the South. Tell you one thing, Brian Kelly came on in. Want to know against Saban. And he did it like with a quarterback that a lot of people ain't really want like that. A lot of folks didn't think Jaden Daniels was like that when he was at Arizona State. I remember he came in real hot, transfer portal last year. He was recruited, but nobody was like program changer. And man, he's had the composure. He's played really well this year. He hasn't gotten too down on himself. LSU is starting to believe in themselves, and like right now, LSU is in the driver's seat for the SEC championship. I think Bama, where is Bama? To make it to the SEC West championship. Where is Bama right now? A lot of people feel like this may be the end of the era. I've been seeing it already. This could be the end is this the end of the era for Bama? I don't think so. Why is this not the end of the era? Because they still recruit too well. They still got 5 stars lining up. They may be number one right now. Like, Bama, this ain't the end of the era. The end of the era, you'll see the end of the era in Bama is when 5-star players stop going to Bama. You got to have the guys. So, yeah, I mean, they've lost 2 games, and it's like, that may be more of the norm now as more parity is introduced into college football. But no, this ain't the end for Bama. But it's definitely refreshing to see things change, right? Shout out to Marcus Freeman. Huge victory against Clemson. And I'm glad to see that young coach really turn things around up at Notre Dame. He got a signature victory. Notre Dame is going to be a problem because that guy can recruit. He's already has like a top 5 class right now. So them beating Clemson was huge. And it's good to see because he started out so slowly. And a lot of people were thinking, like, did he get the job too soon? And I love seeing guys get opportunities, like young guys. I love seeing young guys. I was a big fan when Sean McVay got his opportunity. Matt LaFleur got his opportunity, talking about NFL guys. Young coaches, when young coaches get an opportunity to run it, I love it. And the reason being is that I'm the type of guy I've never been a traditional hire at any job I've ever had. Like, it was always about me in that role. It was always about personality. And I'm the type of guy that feels like, if you're the right guy for the role, if you can find somebody who can identify that you are that guy, regardless of age, regardless of color, regardless of resume, like, hey, this is the guy for that job, and you're proven right. I love those stories because the resume, the cookie cutter stuff, like, it don't matter, man. You can vet resumes as much as you want to. If you're the wrong person for that job, case in point, what just happened at Auburn, Carson had a great resume. He came in at 69-19. Like, it seemed like a great hire, but at the end of the day, he was a horrible fit for that job. We can say it now. It was, so at the end of the day, I think it's real fit is so important. And guys that identify fit regardless of age or resume, I really root for those guys because that's what I like to see. And I can identify personally as far as somebody who may not have been the prototypical candidate for some of the positions that I've been, even when we working for 24/7, like, and I ain't got no writing experience for real. Like, I just know people, I know stuff, and they know I get scooped. And shoot, when it comes to recruiting, I have a pulse of, like, what's going on, especially in the city of Atlanta. Definitely thankful and grateful for God giving me the personality for me to for people to trust me enough with that type of information. But yeah, shout out to them. And they allowed me to have my own podcast. Like, what a lot of people don't know about my situation at 24/7 is I'm one of the only guys in the well, not one of the only guys. First of all, yeah, I can go ahead and say it. Yeah, I'm one of the only guys that has the kind of deal that I have where I can kind of have my own intellectual property as well as, still keep my day job and still get paid as a contract writer. Like, it's crazy. So, man, shout out to them for taking a chance on a guy like me. And yeah, for sure. But let's get into what the hell is going on with baseball. The Astros won the World Series and nobody cares. I feel for them, man. Like, for real, dog. Like, nobody cares. Like, nobody gives a what about baseball right now. I mean, some people do, but man, the Astros won the World Series with the Auburn game on and Alabama versus LSU after Georgia spanked Tennessee. I guarantee you that had to be probably the lowest viewership. We got to see it. I need to see the Nielsen ratings. I got to see it because there's no way the viewership on that there's no way that viewership was high. Because, I mean, if it was, then maybe in a different region, maybe in Houston, Texas is so densely populated, and they probably could like skew the ratings based on per capita of Houston and Texas as a whole. Shout out to Mattress Mac. Man, they said my boy got $75 million in winnings. Put $10 million, put up $10 million on the Astros, and some of that 10 went in at 10-1 odds. He had some bets like $1 million at 5-1 odds. And for those that don't know, it's a guy by the name of Matthews Mack in Houston. He always bets with the Astros, and he says, like, he runs this promotion where he says that every mattress that you buy, he will give you all your money back if the Astros win the World Series. So you go in there, you buy a $2,000-$3,000 mattress, you'll get your money back if the Astros win it. So people will go because people go buy those mattresses. So let's say he said, like, he's got a huge store, like he's a huge staple in Houston. So the way he hedges his bets is, I'm gonna make the sales because people are gonna want to try to get what they call a free mattress, right? And I'm gonna bet the money, right? So he takes $10 million and so he won 75 million, but a lot of that is gonna go back to that's how many mattresses he's selling. The fact that a $10 million bet to hedge against all of the losses that he'll have. It's a very unique business model, but I'm glad it worked out for him. That's dope. But that's a bigger story than the Astros actually beating the Phillies. Yeah, man, what can baseball do to get back entertaining? I think one of the things that baseball has to do is allow these players to continue to have personality. Like you're not going to be able to compete with the NFL and the NBA with the showmanship that these guys have at this time right now doing old school baseball. Like, I mean, it's a changing of the guard, and I hate it too, man. You know what? Like, when I say I hate it, there's some things about, like, things changing that I'm not okay with. But at the end of the day, one thing I am okay with is that things are going to change whether I like it or not. Like, there's one thing that's going to be constant about life, and that's change. So, some of the old stuff and, like, celebrations and the bat toss, the flip, like, flipping the bat and, certain subtle celebrations that don't seem like a whole lot to the average fan, to baseball purists, they can't stand it. A lot of the gatekeepers in baseball is one of the things that has baseball where it is, where people ain't watching it. Like, so I don't know how baseball gets more exciting, but they got to do something because right now the gap between the NFL and baseball has never been wider. The gap between the NBA and baseball has never been wider. Like, baseball is still a hugely popular sport, but what you don't want it to do is get it to around the viewership range of hockey. You don't like hockey, soccer. Professional soccer could overtake baseball in some years because of how fun it is to watch. Like, they make the game exciting. Going to a game, it's a faster game. Going to a game is exciting. I think that based on the way it's headed, like, soccer actually could end up being the third sport in terms of popularity in America with the way things are shifted if baseball doesn't do something. But yeah, it's a really interesting time right now because since baseball ended, that was the one time. It's one of those special. I forgot what they call it, but it's one of those times of the year where you get baseball, football, and basketball. So I haven't been talking a whole lot of basketball yet, but man, so are the Lakers. And one thing about the Lakers is they like the Cowboys. So they are another one of those teams that people just wake up and be like, man, I'm a Lakers fan. And I'm okay with that, just based on the fact of the championship history. And they've won one at least more recently than the Cowboys have, because you can't tell them nothing. But, it's all good. Shout out to my cousin Chip, man. Chip, you need to be subscribed and watching me too, dog. Listen to this. Yeah, Chip, if you hear this, because you're supposed to, man, I'm gonna send you a cash app if you call me and tell me, hey, man, I got my shout out for sure. But yeah, man, the Lakers, just, I don't know, like, I think that what the Lakers gonna have to do in order to get back right is get some outside shooting. They fix everything but the problem. And that's one of the things I just never been able to figure out. Like, how can I be sitting here and be like, man, the Lakers need some shooters, and they go get another non-shooter? Like, you go get Pat Bev, like, he's all right, but I'm talking about you need a knockdown specialist to spread that floor. You got a whole bunch of guys that do the same thing. Everybody want to go to the paint. Everybody want to go to the hole. Westbrook want to go to the hole. Yeah. LeBron definitely want to go to the paint. AD want to go to the paint. Pat Bev want to go to the paint. There's no space, and I think that the Lakers going to be Lakers won't be successful until they get some spaces. And they got Kendrick Nunn, who was a pretty good shooter, but in specific situations, I think the Lakers need a volume shooter. They need somebody who's like, all right, look, like lock it up and load it. They could use a guy like Harrell from Miami. They could use a guy, Duncan Robinson. Like, when that just comes to mind, like you don't have to have somebody, man. If I'm the Lakers, how I fix the Lakers, man, I put something together and I go get Darius Garland from Cleveland. He would be such a good fit in LA. He can handle the ball, he can shoot it. He can shoot it at volume. He can shoot it at limb. He'll give you a ball handler, a defender, somebody who could take the ball out of LeBron's hands. He can also create. I think he would be a great fit for them. But what do I know? But yeah, man, it's been a pleasure. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, right? And drop me some comments. Let me know what y'all want to talk about. It doesn't have to just be Auburn. It doesn't have to just be the Falcons. It doesn't just have to be whatever. Like whatever y'all want to talk about. This is the Casual Flex. So we're having casual conversation that's going to allow us to go to work or whatever. And you watch this show wherever you are. I want you to be able to go flex on your coworkers or go flex on at the barbershop and let them know that, hey, I got some inside info for sure. All right. But yeah, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Shout out again to Drip Waves LLC for sponsoring the show. If you would like to advertise, hit me up. We're growing. And definitely, there are some really key people that do watch this show. I can confirm. So yeah, if you would like to advertise, I ain't tripping on nothing, man. Send me something to put on, send me something to wear. And at this point, you might want to get in early because I know we about to take up out of here for sure. All right, man. Y'all take it easy. So.